All right, everybody, welcome back to another video here on Financial Friends. Today, we are going to be discussing the problem with the streaming industry. But first things first, if you are new to Financial Friends, I want to say welcome to this video. I hope that you enjoy the video and the channel. Financial Friends is a community of people who love business, finance, and investing. So if you're interested in any of that, you want to discuss, learn, chat, talk, and watch about those topics, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, join the friend group. We would love to have you. Let's go ahead and dive into this video straight away. The problem with the streaming industry, and where did I get this idea from? Well, it quite literally fell right into my lap. If we take a look at Netflix and the absolute monstrosity of a day they had today, down 35% in a day, this massive fall off that you can see right here, down another 1.42% in after hours. Now, where did this come from? Why did this happen? Well, they reported earnings the other day, and they lost 200,000 subscribers. The first time they posted a loss in over a decade. Yes, over a decade. So this got me thinking, and this video is not about Netflix in specific, but rather, as I mentioned in the title, in the thumbnail, and also in the first little slide there, this is about the streaming industry. This is addressing the problems with streaming. I'm also going to answer who cares about this and how I am investing around this because, of course, this is a finance and investing YouTube channel. So let's unpack it all. Number one, first thing, streaming is flawed. There's two problems and there's two major flaws with the industry. Number one, there's too many options. And number two, their products have gotten less sticky over time. Sticky meaning it's too easy for people to hop around. We'll get more into that here in a second. Look at all of the options that customers or potential customers rather have. You could go to Netflix, you could get Peacock, ESPN Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus is hiding down here in the corner by me, HBO Max, Prime Video, I think I already said YouTube TV, Discovery Plus, but there is so many different options. And this doesn't even take into consideration the legacy services like AT&T, Xfinity, WOW, or any other cable TV service. This doesn't take into consideration other subscription-based services which do directly compete with this, right? You're not going to cancel your mortgage or your car because you subscribe to the financing or the mortgage. You're going to cancel your Canva Plus or Canva Premium subscription or your YouTube Premium subscription or any other workflow style or productivity style subscription service, right? You're going to cancel those type of things and they directly compete with the money that consumers have for these discretionary products. So this addresses a little bit more who owns what. I posted this on Instagram and Twitter the other day. If you want to go ahead and follow along on both those or public, all that information is going to be right behind me. But again, Disney obviously owns ESPN, Disney Plus, and Hulu. Warner Brothers Discovery, which is a brand new merger, owns both Discovery Plus and HBO Max. Amazon has Prime. Apple has Apple TV Plus, Google YouTube TV, Netflix. Paramount Global has Paramount Plus, and Comcast has Peacock. So these are pretty diversified. Only two own more than one, but some of these companies do other things beside their streaming service that will come into play here in a couple of minutes. Now, when did these actually come about? This is a relatively new problem. Netflix introduced in 2007, Prime Video introduced in 2008 along with Hulu. Now, Prime Video back then was a video on demand service, so it wasn't quite the same as streaming. In 2011, so somewhere in this time frame or whatever, they did unlock the instant video, and from there it just continually got more like Amazon Prime Video that we know and love today. But you could see what these companies, Netflix, Hulu, and even maybe a Prime Video a little bit, had throughout this whole entire time period. They had something that we just talked about in another video linked right up here, is a moat. Any company that wanted to sell the rights to their footage, their video, their entertainment, sold to Netflix and Hulu. Netflix and Hulu did not have to produce originals. Now, with the introduction of YouTube TV, ESPN Plus, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, and Paramount and Discovery Plus, which are located down here, just released last year, there is a ton more competition and fast. Not to mention, Netflix and Hulu now not only have to make their own exclusive content to draw in consumers, but Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, these are services and companies that are now gaining back the rights to things that they sold to Netflix back in the day. So not only did these drop just recently, again, this is a relatively new issue, this wide options that we have, but they're now losing their moat and having to spend more money to create new moats, which would be exclusive shows. Shows you can only see on Netflix or Hulu or Prime or Apple TV, which is all exclusives. Disney, HBO Max, Peacock. If you're not producing new shows, you're not competing enough. And we're just now seeing the first signs of compression, of the only thing that's going to solve this problem that these companies are going to continue to experience, not having enough people to sign up. You have a fixed amount of people, essentially, that are going to sign up to your services. Now, that number is ever growing, but with inflation being high and consumers cutting, that number of people who are willing to subscribe or have the money to subscribe are now shrinking. So unless the industry compresses and companies like Discovery and HBO Max merge, and Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus are able to bundle together their options, we're not going to see massive growth in every single company's subscribers because someone is going to have to bleed subscribers. Netflix just so happened to do that the first time in 10 years, which is why their stock was down massively in 35%, a massive, massive loss. Moving forward, we mentioned inflation's high, consumers are cutting spending. What is very, very easy for people to cut? A fixed number, something they can clearly see, like a $10 a month subscription to Netflix, or a $9 standalone subscription to Prime Video, or a $7 ad-supported version to Hulu, or the premium version, only maybe $5, right, for Peacock, but an easy cut nonetheless. The $5 cut to Paramount Plus, the $5 cut to Discovery Plus, especially if you're subscribing to Peacock, Paramount Plus, and Discovery Plus, well, you can just cut $5, $5, that's $15 savings right there. It's easy to calculate. It's a discretionary item that they can, again, quickly and easily tap a few buttons on their phone, and now you are unsubscribed. So, of course, in a time where gas prices and food prices and the cost of living is rising 8% year over year, people are going to cut their Netflix subscription, which is also growing in price. It just makes sense. Not to mention, before every single YouTube video you watch, Mr. Haroon, the CEO of Truebill, is yelling at you to cut every single subscription service you are not using. If you haven't seen this ad, obviously this is a joke, but nonetheless, it probably played a role in some of those members cutting Netflix. Now, who cares, right? We just talked about the whole streaming industry, the problems with the streaming industry, but actually who really cares about it? Obviously, the consumers don't, but investors do. The stock market as a whole does, and sympathy stocks that are going to drop when other similar stocks drop, they care too. Take a look here at the market. We had Netflix, obviously, like I mentioned, dropping 35%, but Paramount Global dropped 8.6%. You also have Walt Disney dropping 5.5%. So these are companies that are within the same realm, and they are just out of sympathy for Netflix and maybe in expectation of poor earnings or lower subscriber counts, dropping as well. Now let's dive back into the presentation here. How am I investing around this? Well, quite literally, I'm just picking companies that don't care about streaming. Apple, Disney, Google, and Amazon. They all have massive businesses outside of the streaming world. Apple, I would say, is really, they could care less. They're producing their own content. They're also giving away their service to students. That's how I have Apple TV Plus. They're slowly building their repertoire. They're now just getting into the mainstream. They might continue to be able to see growth in streaming because it's relatively cheap and because they are just massively flush with cash. But Google's also the same way with YouTube. They make so much money from YouTube, what you're watching this on right now as a whole, that YouTube Premium is just bonus for them. And YouTube TV, their kind of cable subscription, could probably bleed money forever and they would be perfectly fine with it because YouTube would just make up the difference. And Amazon, well, they sell their Prime Video subscription alongside of their Prime subscription, which is $140, I think, now a year. They don't care. Why would they care? They ship products to you and their Amazon Web Services, they run the internet. So Disney is going to be the biggest one amongst this group that does care. They're entertainment focused. They have, 21st Century Fox and Pixar and all of these other similar entertainment style items, but they're in theaters. They drive boats around the ocean. They attract millions and millions and millions globally to their amusement parks. They sell merchandise. Disney is going to be just fine in regard to their streaming service lacking. Now, the stock, not so much. I'm long-term on the stock. The stock is heavily driven by Disney Plus success. However, if they can see even slight margins of success as they continue to build out and then acquire back all of their shows and continue with hopefully the pandemic kind of slowing down as we continue to move on, then the parks and other entities like the cruises will start to see a little bit more oomph in their numbers and hopefully help the stock along. So that is the problem with streaming. That's what I think of everything. I hope that you're able to learn something new. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and comment down below. Also comment, what subscription services do you have and what ticker symbols do you own? I'd be very, very interested to know. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Hope that you learned something new. If you did, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell right next to it. That way you're notified when a new video comes out. And I will see you all in This Week in Finance.